I can't talk today. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Colin, and I'm a non-binary scientist and lover of makeup, especially eyeshadow and colorful eyeshadow. So if that's something that interests you, be happy to have you subscribe. Today I'm going to be doing a 3 looks 1 palette with the new Beauty Bay Wilderness palette. So I just got this in the mail, and I've already filmed a first impressions, and I used the green shades, so I'll link that above. But there's just so many beautiful shades in here that I want to try the others. One, just because they're so pretty and I want to see what they look like on my lid, but also I want to try most, if not all of these, so that I can give a decent opinion on the formula. So this just launched from Beauty Bay. It's the Beauty Bay Haus brand. It's 20 eyeshadows, and it's $15 plus shipping. So I think this was 21 US dollars with shipping and everything included. Got here pretty fast. So far I'm really happy with the quality. I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the shades, so 6 out of 20. And so far I'm really happy with the quality, especially the shimmers. They are really beautiful. But I want to get some use out of the other ones. So I've already done my base today. I didn't have any fallout in the last one, so I figured it was safe to do that this time. So once again, I used my Fenty Eavesdrop in shade 11 as my foundation. I used the Fenty Bright Fix Eye Brightener concealer in shade 7, Deep Butter, as my concealer today. I set that with my Kosas Cloud Set in Comfy. And then I used my bronzer from Lethal Cosmetics. So this is Tectonic, I believe. Very pigmented, love this bronzer. I used a little bit of Isotope, which is their champagne, forgot the word champagne highlighter on the bridge of my nose and my brow bone. And then for blush and highlighter on my cheek, I used 2 of the cream Blushlights from Melt. So I used Sandy Cheeks as my blush. And then I used Lynx, which is one of the more shimmery ones. I used that as kind of a highlight above that. I think these two blend really beautifully together. And then my lip is the shade Talk Dirty from Haus Labs. This is one of my favorite go-tos if I'm gonna wear a nude. Because this is basically my lip color, but better. It's basically the same color that my lips are, but a little more pigmented, so they look a little nicer. So I think I'm going to start with the blues because blue is my favorite color and my favorite eyeshadow color. And I'm going to start, do things a little differently today just to see how that works. So I'm going to start with my E27 from Sigma, which is one of the smaller blending brushes. And I'm going to go into Twilight, which is this dark blue. And I'm going to start with the dark shade today and see how that works. Yesterday I did Marigold to start as a transition, and then I deepened it up with the greens. Today I'm going to start dark and go light and see how that works. So put a little bit of that on my brush, tap off a little excess so I don't get any fallout, and I'm going to stamp that on the outer corner. I've already primed my eyes with my Urban Decay eye primer, and then I used my NYX brow gel. So I'm going to stamp that here to give kind of the shape, and then work it a little bit this way and see how that works. Looks like I need to blend that out just a little bit right there. Okay, that is really nice and deep. I like a deep color on the outer lid. I like depth in my eye looks. I sometimes do like a single brown or single shade and maybe a shimmer, or I'll do one matte and then a shimmer on my inner corner. But if I'm playing with color, I tend to go for depth. So that's going on really nicely so far. So I'm just stamping it in that winged out shape to kind of lift my eye. And then with the same brush, I'm just going to kind of blend that inward a little bit. Just a little bit this way. And give that overall shape that I want. So I'm just kind of stamping this dark blue in place. Hoping I don't get any fallout, although if I do, I clean it up with more concealer. The nice thing about that Fenty concealer is it's so thin. If I add a second layer, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to look cakey or anything. Okay, and once I have that shape that I want with that dark shade, I'm going to go into Sky, which is this bright blue, and I'm going to get a little bit of that on the same brush, and I'm going to blend the edges by stamping that over the edges. So far, it seems like this formula is the kind that works best by stamping and tapping versus swiping around a blend, which I don't mind. I tend to do kind of a combo with most shadows where I kind of stamp it in where I want and then blend. But if I have to do almost all of it as the stamping motion, that's fine. Just have to know which formulas to do that to and what not to. Okay, so I went ahead and blended out Twilight with that Sky shade, and they look really pretty. I really like those tones of blue. And I'm definitely gonna have to clean up the edge a little bit later, but that's not that big of a deal. And then with a slightly smaller brush, this is my Sigma E42, I'm gonna get a little bit more of that Twilight shade and just stamp it right here. Sometimes my eyes water when I start putting on makeup, and I just want to make sure that that still has some pigment there. So I really like this general shape, so I think I'm going to take that Snow shade, which is this off-white kind of cream color, on a Sigma E38, and I'm going to blend right here just to make sure that there's not too much blue closing off my inner part of my eye, and use that to kind of blend the edges of everything a little bit more. So now that I've got these blues up here, I'm going to go into the shade Mint right here, and I'm going to take that on this little packing brush, and I'm going to pack that on my lower lash line and connect it up to that Twilight shade. So that's really pretty. That works really well being packed on. I always worry about mint shades like this, or really pastel kind of light colors, because they're not always the best at showing up. But this is really pigmented. Like you can see, I accidentally got a little bit up on top of Twilight, and it's even covering up that dark blue. So I'm gonna go ahead, tap that all over, and then I'm gonna use that same little Morphe 508 packing brush, and I'm gonna pack Twilight right here and down just a little bit to merge the two together so that there's some cohesion between both halves of my eye. Okay, yeah, I really like the way that looks. So yeah, these shades definitely work best being packed on and then lightly blended, which I think I knew from other people using their previous palettes. It's not my default way of doing eyeshadow, but if I know I need to do it, I can. So now I'm going to take some NYX glitter glue on this flat Morphe M124 and pack that all over the lid, just because I use this for almost all of my shimmers, no matter what the brand. It really helps them last all day. It helps minimize the fallout I get on my face when I put them on, and it really makes them pop. They just look so much more vibrant. If I ever try a shimmer and I'm like, oh, that looks a little disappointing, I put it over this, and then you're like, oh, okay, I see it now. It just needed that tackiness to really make it really shine. And then on another Morphe M124, this one's clean, I'm gonna go into the shimmers. So I think I'm gonna do monochromatic blue, and I'm gonna do Ocean, which is this dark blue with a light blue speckle in it. It's got a little bit of a purple undertone when I swatched it. And then I think I'm gonna take Ray, which is this light kind of champagne color with a little bit of blue and green in it, and I'm gonna blend that from the inner part out and blend the two together. So I'm going to take Ocean on one side of that brush, and it's kind of picking up. These shimmers are pretty soft, so you can see I used Moss last time and it's got a big dent in it. So they're pretty softly packed, kind of creamy shimmers. And I'm going to place that right here. And blend that into that outer corner. And actually, instead of using Ray on the inner part, I'm going to take Breeze, which is this teal, and I'm going to blend the two together. And then I'll use Ray on the inner corner. So then on the other side of the brush, I'm going to take Breeze. Breeze is also nice and soft, like moss. And I'm going to place you right here. And I'm going to have that go from the inner part up and then a little bit on top. I like kind of a diagonal shape. It kind of goes with the overall cat eye wing out. And I feel like I'm losing my voice. Don't know why. Guys, I've been talking too much lately. We did go out this weekend with my best friend and her husband a couple times. We went out for brunch. And we also went out to, there's a German restaurant not far from here that has a big beer garden outdoor space. So we went out there and had quite a few drinks the other day, which was really fun, but meant talking over loud people and loud noises. So this is a really beautiful teal, and I really like the two together. I'm going to take a little bit more of Ocean, which is not as soft. So you can see Ocean doesn't really have a dent in it like these two do. And I'm going to go back and forth between the two, kind of melding them together. And then on this clean, this is a Sigma E42, one I use often in the outer corner. I'm going to take a little bit of Forest and a little bit of Mint together, kind of blend those two back and forth, and use that to kind of brush around Mint on the lower lash, just to make sure it's nice and soft, and kind of reinforce that teal, since Forest is a little bit of a teal green. And then on my pencil brush, I'm going to take the color Ray, and I'm going to put that on my inner corner. And that is also a really soft shade. So you can see as I put my brush into it, it moves around quite a bit and you make a dent. So I'm going to put that on the inner corner and blend that in, up and in to Breeze. So there's kind of a gradient between all three. And then use that to connect the lower lash line as well. Okay, so now I want to try the red shades. So I'm going to wipe off with the color switch my brush, make sure there's no blue coming off of it. And I'm going to do the same kind of idea. So I'm going to start with Raw, which is that dark red, and I'm going to use Sunrise and Poppy, I think, to blend it out. And then probably Heat and Fossil on the lid. So I'm going to tap into Raw, which is this dark red, on my E27 brush. You can see, like I've shown before, but there's a decent amount of kick up in the pan for these shades, which I don't mind, but I know can be a problem for some people. But it seems like there's no real fallout. Maybe a little bit with this blue, like right here and right here. I need to clean up the edges with some concealer, but that's not a big deal. But I don't have like blue all over my face, which I have had with some shadows. I feel like the one Juvia's Place shadow, or I feel like the one Juvia's Place palette I have is like that, where I get a decent amount of fallout, and then the shimmers, I just have like shimmer fallout everywhere no matter what I do. So I'm going to do the same thing I did on this side by tapping that red on the outer corner in the shape that I want. That's That's really pretty. I really like that color. That's my favorite tone of red, is that like blood red. And I think I already know I want to take that sunrise shade on my lower lash line, so I'm going to go ahead and start that now. Tapping that right here with this dense Morphe packing brush again that I've cleaned off. And I might have to re-intensify this at the end again, but I just want to put some of that down here because it'll help me shape the outer corner. So putting that here helps me direct how far out I want this red to go, since red can stain and be a little bit hard to work with. So I really like the shape of this so far, and the colors look great. So I'll clean up the edges of both when I'm done. So now I'm going to take a little bit more of that raw shade, and I'm going to tap that on its way in just above my crease, or just in my crease, to kind of give me my overall eye shape that I want. And then I'm going to go into that bright red, that poppy shade in the corner, and I'm going to use that to blend out the edges. So I'm just going to tap that on top of it to kind of blend those edges. So yeah, I really like that shape. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that orange sunrise shade that I put on the lower lash, and I'm going to use that again on top of that and blend that out even a little more. And focus that a little bit more on the inner corner, so it goes from orange to, it goes from more of an orange to a dark red, to kind of go with the match the shades on the lower lash. And then go back into raw and really pack that on right here on the outer corner. I really want that as dark as I can. Okay, so the general shape looks great, so I'm going to go ahead and put some NYX glitter glue on and start putting those shimmers on. And so now I'm going to go into Heat, which is this red shimmer. It has a little bit of a gold sparkle running through it, and that's also feeling a little more densely packed in there, kind of like ocean. So far, Ray, Breeze, Moss, and Lime have all been very soft and kind of emollient, and Heat is a little stiff like Ocean was. And I'm going to place that on the outer corner and the middle of my lid. It's a really pretty red. I don't have that many red shimmers in my collection. This is nice. It's not my favorite red shimmer I have, but it's working well with this, and the formula seems nice. I'm going to take my finger, try to get a little bit more of that, and really swipe that on right there. Yeah, that's better. Sometimes the shimmer just works best with your finger. And then I'm going to take that shade Fossil, which is kind of a bronze, coppery shade, which also feels pretty soft. Yeah, that's pretty soft as well. I'm going to put that on the inner half of my lid and blend the two together. And then with the same Sigma pencil brush, this is a E30, I'm going to take that Fossil shade and place that on my inner corner and blend it up into the Fossil that I have on my lid, just to round it all out, and a little bit on my lower lash line. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to go off camera and put some eyeliner on, mascara, and all of that, and I will be right back. Okay, and here are both looks finished. So on the blue side, I used Pricilla from Haus Labs on my waterline, and on this side, I used Colourpop Subzero, which is nice, sparkly yellow. And then I used my Milk Makeup Mascara and lashes from House of Lashes. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I really like the way these turned out, especially now that the shimmers have had time to kind of melt together. Fossil turned kind of golden next to the reds, and these two blues just look so nice together. So I'm really happy with these. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more look for this video, something a little more toned down and neutral, and I will see you in that part. Okay, and I'm back for my third look. I'm wearing all of the same makeup. It's actually same day because it's supposed to be really, really hot in Seattle this week. We're going to be under an excessive heat warning, and I know I'm not going to want to wear makeup, especially with the AC off, during the week, because I don't want to roast. So I decided to do this whole video in one day. So same makeup as before, but now I'm going to do a more neutral look. So I think I'm going to stick to this little quadrant down here. So I'm going to start with that marigold shade that I used in the very first look I did. And I'm going to put that on my Morphe 508 packing brush. And I'm going to pack that along my lower lash line and then up to kind of create the shape that I want, and then spread it around this way. So I really like this yellow. It's a kind of mustard, kind of more egg yolk. I think egg yolk is the best way to describe it. And it packs on nicely. So I'm just using that to draw a line towards the end of my brow. And that's kind of how I do the shape, is I want this to be a line that goes this way and up. Bean, what are you doing? Leave the box alone. Yeah, talking to you. And once that's packed on and I have the general shape down, I'm going to take this is an E54 from Sigma, which is a little dense, and I'm going to use that to pack it on in the shape that I want across my eye. So I'm putting this directly in the crease and connecting across. I really like yellow eyeshadow, but especially when it's more of a kind of a grungy yellow like this. Especially going into fall, end of summer, early fall. This is the kind of shade I want to wear all the time. So now that I've got the yellow all over, I'm going to go back into that E54, and I'm going to go into Earth, and I'm going to get a decent amount of that on the flat side, tap off the excess, and I'm going to pack that on the outer corner. And I'm going to do that in kind of a V shape. And then I'm going to blend that into the crease. So the yellow is just a little bit above the brown, and the brown is adding that definition. And kind of packing it on the lid doesn't really matter since I'm going to put shimmer there. And then I'm going to go back in with that fluffy brush and blend the two together with a little bit more of that marigold. Yeah, I wanted to do something a little more subtle, a little more easy, and quote-unquote wearable. So now I'm going to go in with my NYX glitter glue and pack that all over the lid. And kind of trace the shape I want right here into the crease. Kind of helps the shimmer stay there and not go up too high. And then using my flat brush again, I'm going to go into Fossil, which is that kind of bronze shade, and I'm going to brush that all over the lid. And so it looks way less gold in this look. When it was paired with those reds and oranges, it pulled really gold, which looked really pretty, and it looks much more just kind of a champagne bronze kind of tone by itself, which is exactly what I wanted. So place that all over the lid. Go back in with a little bit more of marigold. And make sure, I like to, once I put the shimmer on, I always like to make sure that I can still see a little bit of that matte shade right above it. So I look straight ahead and blend this way. Okay, so that looks really good. That is exactly what I wanted. And then going with that packing brush, going back into Earth, and bringing that dark brown down here a little bit, just because I can't help but add a little smokiness. And re-intensify it on the outer V. Okay, so I'm going to finish that on the other eye and add mascara and all of that, and I will be right back. Okay, and so this is the finished look. I went and finished it with my Urban Decay mascara. I tight lined with black eyeliner, and then I used my brown liquid liner from Haus in the shade Whiskey. And I really like this for looks like this. It gives some definition without being black eyeliner. And I really like the way this turned out. It was really easy, literally 3 shades. And classic late summer, early fall kind of neutral look. And I really liked that they included a brown and some neutrals so that you can do this, because otherwise this is a very colorful palette. And I love palettes that have neutrals and colors and brights and darks. So what I really like that about this. So now that I've used every shade in this, I have a decent opinion about the formula. I really like the shimmers. I think my least favorite shimmer is this Heat shade. I don't know if it already has a little bit of hard pan. It just doesn't pick up very well even with the finger. So it's just not as impactful as I want. Ocean is a little firm still, just like that, but worked better and gave a lot of impact. I really like the shimmers in here though. It's a really pretty soft, sparkly formula. And especially the greens and these blues up here, love. And I really like Marigold, Eucalyptus, like these green shades a lot. They work really well. This Poppy shade is a little dry compared to the rest, but it still worked well. It just is a little dry and had to be a little careful with it. The dark red worked really well. And the brown, it's a brown. It worked well. But I really like the color story. I like that it's the 4 major elements. Everything works well together. I ended up even using the Snow shade, which I didn't expect because I never use those kind of off-white creamy colors. And even for this look, you could easily use that to blend the edges a little bit more if it's not quite blended enough for you, especially if you're lighter than me, or use it as your brow bone highlight. So I really like this. I totally think this is worth the $15, and I'm really happy I got this. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm excited to see what else I do. I feel like I will definitely reach back in this for the shimmers, especially Freeze and Moss. Those are so nice, and I'm really happy to have this in my collection. So let me know what you think of this look and the other looks, and what you think of the palette and what I did. And remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Why can't I talk? Why is talking so difficult?